Hi, this is a video response to KingTheist23's Tough Questions for Atheists. Human evolution. No, I tell a lie. I'm getting ahead of myself. No, behind myself. I've already dealt with human evolution. This one's about probability. First, I would like you to have a look at the links I provided in my previous videos in response to you about the serial trials fallacy. This is something that deals specifically with probability calculations. Beyond that, I'm going to deal with some very specific points raised in your video. Here's the first one: applying probability to the existence of God. Well, here's the thing. So far, we've not actually seen any evidence of a deity of any description, which, as you quite rightly point out, means that applying a probability calculation to such an entity is pretty ridiculous. At the same time, the absence of said evidence means that rendering a probability calculation will always lead one to a solution that is fairly close to zero. Ultimately, we need some evidence. I'm going to address some other points that cropped up in your video. Excuse me while I roll a cigarette. I hope you don't mind. Some of the points that you raised in your video that don't really have much to do with the topic, but still need addressing, are along these lines. How many universes are there? Well, there's one. That's it. That's all there is. The universe is literally all that exists. That's what the word means. Now, it can be said that cosmologists who really do know what they're talking about talk about multiverses and other universes all the time, but it also has to be said that these cosmologists are usually writing for people who understand what they're talking about. I actually dealt with some of this in one of my previous videos. If you have a look at the video "Oh What a Calamity," you'll find some of my explanation of this. Now, this is actually one of my special areas of interest, and it's something that I know a little bit about. The reality is there is only one universe. There can only be one universe, and while there can be other cosmic expansions based on various models of cosmic instantiation, specifically the Huth cyclical model and the Turok-Steinhardt brain worlds model, just to name two examples that are kind of at the forefront of our thinking at the moment. They postulate other cosmic expansions, but ultimately, when we're talking about the universe, we're talking about one thing. That's what uni, one. There is only one universe. And here's the real kicker. In reality, your magic man would be part of the universe, because the universe is all that exists. Now, is there any way to realistically calculate the number of how many universes might be created by God. Well, you make a big point of saying that that we can say very little about what the probability is of God. But in actual fact, in light of the evidence that suggests that the universe is a bottom-up entity, i.e. one that is rooted in process upon process upon process, it's very difficult to factor in a probability of God, which ultimately, without evidence, renders the probability of God so near to nil as to be almost not worthy of expression. You're right, the probability of God existing is not 50-50, it's not remotely close. If I were pressed into a corner to put a figure on it, I would say that the probability of God not existing would be, bearing in mind that probability calculations have a value somewhere between 0 and 1, 1 being the highest probability imaginable, I would say that the probability of God not existing is 0.9 recurring to infinity. I think that given the evidence that all of the processes and principles that we have so far elucidated rests upon testable, definable, natural mechanisms with no requirement for a divine intervention of any description, that the probability of God existing is so close to 0 as to be completely ridiculous. Is there any realistic way to calculate the odds? Yes. There's no evidence. That's it. That's what it all boils down to. If you have some evidence that suggests a deity, creator, anything of such a nature, then please present it. I happen to have in my possession the telephone number of the Nobel Committee, some very serious men in Sweden who would be very interested to hear about your evidence for God, and who will have a nice shiny medal with your name on it alongside the picture of the man who invented dynamite. Seriously, this is a serious implication, offer, whatever. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit drunk now. I've been here all day making videos. What it boils down to is there is no evidence for your celestial peeping Tom, and all of the evidence points to a progression of very natural processes conversant with the laws and principles that we have elucidated within our universe. If you can find any evidence that contradicts that, anything that supports miracles, life beyond the grave, anything at all that contradicts the laws of physics, please present it. I'm ready. Thank you very much for an interesting series of questions. I don't think I'm going to move on to the next question, as good as your questions have been, because I note that you've actually now discontinued your channel. I'm really sorry about that, and I hope you decide to continue it in the future. because you have raised some of the more interesting questions that I've come across. Take care, and thanks for listening. Cheers.